know, we often think about these great leaders and teachers in our lives to teach us something, right? So Mother Teresa said, intense love does not measure, it just gives. Our very own Father Boyle, he said, to find the sacred in the ordinary. Right? And my Uncle Richard, he said that we are all medicine for one another. I've always thought about that, these different teachings and these great teachers, but one of the things that I realized, and Father Boyle talked about this the other day, the thought of the day was, he said, do not confine the divine. Right? And I think about how that works all the time in my life. I think about it when I wake up just in the morning. I think about that. Last week we got a chance to go to this retreat with Father Mark, and I just want to thank Father Mark because that was and Robert Juarez for hosting and leading that retreat. While we were going to the retreat, I thought about my friend Boris, who used to work here and served over 20 years in prison. And he told me a story once about when he got out, how he went to his first meal was at Carl's Jr. Right? And we stop at that Carl's Jr. every year. It's a tradition. And then we took a picture out there at that Carl's Jr. and I sent it to Boris. And I told him, hey, I'm finally going on the retreat. And he wrote back to me and he said that he remembered that when he got out, that was his first meal. And then exactly 1 year later, he was at that same Carl's Jr. going to the retreat with Father Mark. Right? I thought about how that moment was sacred, not only for Boris, but for me and for us. Right? I also thought about my daughter. She's one of my greatest teachers, and she told me once. She said, "Dad, you got to take me to this party." And I was like, "Okay." And she says, "She's not my friend." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So why do you want to go to the party?" And she says, "Oh, I don't know, Dad. What happened was that I found this flyer on the floor, and I picked it up because I heard some kids at my school saying that they weren't going to go because the person that was hosting the party was a new person, and she was not popular." And I said, "Well, do you know her?" She says, "No." And I thought, okay, so we're going to show up to this party and we don't know this person, right? So I was like, okay, and all along I'm thinking now, the sacred in the ordinary, right? So we show up to this party. We're about an hour late, and I knock on the door, and there's absolutely no one at the party, and so grandmother opens the door, and from behind, from behind the grandmother, you hear the little girl say, "Emily?" Because she didn't invite my daughter, right? And my daughter said, "Oh, hi, come on in." And I look inside and there's probably 10 boxes of pizza, there's this really big cake, but there's nobody at the party, right? And so I said, I'm gonna sit and talk to the grandmother. I'm gonna invite myself in. I said, "Oh, I'm here for the party too." So I go in and the grandmother's like, "Yeah, come on in. You want some pizza?" And I'm like, "Sure." So she brings me a box. And so then so I'm having pizza with the grandmother, and she's telling me the story of this little girl's parents, right? She's actually a foster grandmother, right? And we're having this conversation, and we stayed there for about 3 hours. It got dark, and it was time to go, so we left. And I told my daughter, I said on the way back, I was like, "Man, Emily, I was like, you're my hero because of what you did. You taught me so much." That she said, "Dad, I didn't want her to not have anybody at her party, right? I felt bad that no one was going to show up." And I think about that, this place, right? I think about those testimonies from last night. Brother Miguel was speaking like that, and Deborah and everybody else, right? And G and Jose, and just the whole event, and just this place here, right? this place is sacred. People might say it's an ordinary place, but it's not. You know, we're all sacred people. We're all sacred, and our stories and our lives matter, right? From sending a picture from a retreat, to picking up a flyer, to shaking someone's hand here at Homeboy, to telling one another that, you hear this a lot at Homeboy, that we love each other, you know, and like Mother Teresa said, right, intense love does not measure, it just gives.